Good evening and welcome to Primetime News on TV1. On the outset of our bulletin, we will be looking at the news breakdown for tonight. Curfew imposed in 19 districts was lifted today. We will be focusing on those areas and the activities of the people. We will also be reporting about the process in place to provide relief to citizens. We also have a specialist opinion on the COVID-19 testing process and what's happening in the political arena amidst the COVID-19 outbreak. We have the details for you. We also have a comprehensive report on the international situation of COVID-19, the special statement made by Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, Indian Prime Minister and the President with their ministers have decided to take a pay cut amidst the COVID-19 outbreak. Today, we will be deviating from the usual process we follow on our news bulletins. We as a nation are at a decisive point of our existence, and the upcoming days are going to be crucial for us. We don't know what to expect. But taking a look back in time, we can find comfort in the fact that this is not the only challenge we as a nation have faced over the years. Our grit and our positivity acted as the backbone of our comeback each time we were struck down. So we created the Nagitimu Sri Lanka theme song, drawing inspiration from our people's positive mindset. We also requested our viewers to join us in singing the theme song, and the response was simply overwhelming. Many citizens from every corner of the country have joined this endeavor. The response was so overwhelming that our WhatsApp number deactivated many a time. We had issues with data traffic. In keeping with health regulations, we have limited the staff who have access to our newsroom. But the few of us who are in this newsroom have taken the time to combine all your responses to create an amazing music video. So thank you for standing in solidarity with us during this challenging time. And may this theme song act as the silver lining in this dark cloud.
Lankans now. Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka.
Gammada, Nagitimu, Sri Lanka.
PCR tests increased to detect COVID-19 patients. Curfew in 6 districts, including Colombo, to continue. Curfew in remaining areas will lift for 8 hours again on Thursday. Sri Lankan on board the Italian cruise ship brought back home. A German national has been taken ashore for medical treatment. 19 officers in the Pamunugama police sent for quarantine owing to a COVID-19 patient.
Main sponsor.
On to your lead story now. The curfew imposed in 19 districts was lifted for 8 hours today, and this was the situation in those districts.
This was the manner in which the public had conducted themselves in Nuwara after the curfew was lifted. The Hatton town was also crowded today. Crowds of people were seen in the Mathura town as well. This was the situation at rice stores. Small groups of people were seen purchasing goods from supermarkets at a time. Long queues of people were seen waiting to purchase fertilizer in the Naula town. This was the situation in Dambulla. Large crowds of people were gathered in the Kurunegala town to fulfill their needs. While health directives were followed by certain people, they were neglected elsewhere. A tense situation arose when authorities attempted to remove sellers who were not adhering to the directives of health authorities. Several people flocked to the Mahava Polonnaruwa, Ampara and Pothuville towns today. The Hambantota and Bibile towns were buzzing with activity when curfew was lifted this morning. Crowds of people gathered in the Kegol, Varakapola and Mavanala towns as well. This was the situation in Badulla and Haliyala. This was the situation in Trincomalee this morning. These were the scenes witnessed across certain areas in the Ratnapura district. This was the situation in Gaul, Hikkaduwa, Baddegama and the Amapegama areas. The curfew imposed in the Colombo, Gampaha, Kalutara, Puttalam, Kandy and Jaffna districts that have been identified as high-risk zones will continue to be in effect until further notice. The President's Media Division said curfew in the remaining districts will be lifted at 6 a.m. on the 9th of April and reimposed at 4 p.m. the same day. According to the statement from the President's Media Division, this week until Friday, the 10th of April, is declared as a work-from-home period. Meanwhile, some areas that were declared isolated in Colombo, Kalutara and Kandy districts will remain isolated, and entering or exiting these areas will be strictly prohibited until further notice.
Over the last few days, goods such as vegetables were distributed across the country through economic centres. However, many economic centres have been closed down temporarily for a few days.
The Traders Union decided to close down the Tambuttegama Economic Centre yesterday to avoid the spread of COVID-19. Minister S.M. Chandrasena, North Central Province Governor Mahipala Herath, Anuradhapura District Secretary Attorney at Law W. Wanninaeka, met with the management of the Tambuttegama Economic Centre today.
We will open this today as we should protect the district. We should protect the farmers while also preventing the spread of the disease. Farmers can bring their produce to the Tambuttegama Economic Centre from 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. every day. Traders can come and purchase goods from 4 a.m. to 2 p.m. We cannot disregard the government's decision. We should be disciplined. When farmers come here with their products, we should accept them. Therefore, we will accept goods until 10 p.m.
This was the situation at the Dambul Economic Centre after a decision was made to close down the facility. Steps were taken to disinfect the Kapitipol Economic Centre after a decision was made to close down the centre yesterday. Meanwhile, farmers who are experiencing difficulties in selling their products at the Norachole Economic Centre have been severely affected. They lamented that this situation has befallen them as traders do not visit the economic centre to purchase goods. As a result of this situation, farmers say that they are forced to sell their produce for low rates such as 10 or 20 rupees.
There are people in the country who face hardships as a result of not being able to purchase goods although curfew is lifted. Now these people were seen at pawning centres today in cities where curfew was relaxed.
Residents of Lahugala, Hulannuge and Panama constantly travel to the town of Potuville. Although residents from many parts of the country had gathered to their respective cities to fulfill their needs, the majority of the people who had arrived in the Potuvilla town were seen opposite pawning centres. Many people were disappointed, however, as they were not able to secure any cash through pawning their jewellery as a result of curfew being reimposed in the areas. There is no food at home. I came at 7. I came to pawn my jewellery. They are saying they will close at 11:30. How are we to eat? By the time we obtain the cash, curfew will be reimposed. Our children will die of starvation. A woman who arrived at a state bank in Hinguragoda, Polonnaruwa, expressed the following views. These belong to my sister. She is abroad. We do not have food. We have brothers, but they have no way of finding employment. My sister called me and asked me to pawn her jewellery.
In light of the COVID-19 outbreak in Sri Lanka, the government announced that it had taken measures to provide all Samruddhi beneficiaries a sum of 10,000 rupees. While 5,000 rupees was issued to the Samruddhi beneficiaries recently, the program and its arrangements are still being questioned.
A group who gathered opposite the Midigama Samruddhi Bank in Valigama today requested that the remaining 5,000 rupees of the allowance be paid or grant them access to withdraw the funds deposited in their savings accounts.
We don't have money to purchase food items. We are requesting for our savings to be released. The 5,000 rupee the government pledged to give us was issued as a loan. All we want are our savings back. I have 3 daughters. When I called the Samruddhi officer, he directed me here. But the officers here are refusing to accept us. They put us out and closed the doors. We have no way of earning anything. We are helpless. We don't have food. They are refusing to give us even the money we have saved. We have been instructed to issue the 5,000 rupee advance payment to all those who did not receive it. Starting from tomorrow, the remaining 5,000 rupees will be delivered to each household. So I informed the group who came to the bank to leave as arrangements have been made by our officers for the payment to be delivered to their doorstep. Daily operations at the bank are not taking place due to the prevailing situation. They have requested us to work from home.
12 days have passed since the 24th of March. The people have spent the 5,000 rupee grant to purchase essential goods. Although 12 days have passed, no arrangements have been made to provide them this relief again. Therefore, we appeal to the Director General of the Samurdhi Development Authority to expedite the process of granting this relief again. There is no need of providing people with goods worth this amount. The people need money as well as goods. Therefore, if anyone is trying to substitute this grant with goods, please stop that. Don't take steps to recover this amount.
The Presidential Task Force has received a mammoth sum of money from China, America and the World Bank to tackle the coronavirus. Basil Rajapaksa has included a person in this Presidential Task Force. He is not a member of a Pradeshi Sabha, let alone an MP. At present, politicians have been included in every mechanism, including the one to provide goods to the people and the 5,000 rupees Samruddhi advance. They have been appointed, undermining the authority of the state officials in those mechanisms. This has been done based on a directive by Basil Rajapaksa. What is being operated now is the mechanism of the flower bud. This entire process has been politicized. We want to request the government to let go of this plan. If you are still dreaming of obtaining a two-thirds majority, keep that dream aside now. Public service should be done impartially. Anyone who is not eligible for a pension or a government salary should be provided a relief.
අපි ඉල්ලා හිටිනවා. විශ්‍රාම වැටුපක් හෝ රාජ්‍ය සේවකයන් වැටුපක් නොලබන සියලු දෙනාට මේ වෙලාවේ මේ දීමනාව ලබා දිය යුතුයි.
ඊයේ වෙනකොට සියලුම අංශ වෙත සහනාධාර ලබා දීම සඳහා සියලුම චක්‍රලේඛන නිකුත් කළ අවසන් වෙලා.
As of yesterday, the respective circulars to make relief available have been issued. All those relying on daily wages have been included in this too. Within this, I don't see who can't get relief. The only ones who can't are state sector employees. With the President, the Prime Minister and Basil Rajapaksa like a three-wheeler, this machinery is working properly. This task force has been established under an experienced political leader, so I do not think the people will experience any of those issues. There has been a committee comprising 6 members appointed to advise on the relief as well. The local government politicians should not bring politics into this. A local politician, regardless of his party, should advise that this relief should be given to those who do not have any income.
ඉතාමත්ම පැහැදිලිව ආදායම් මාර්ග අඩු අයට මේ සියලු දෙනාට ආදායම් මාර්ග අහිමි අයට මේක ලබා දෙන්න කියලා.
A Sri Lankan aboard the MSC Magnifica cruise ship who sought to return to the country was taken off board the vessel and sent for quarantining in Busa today.
The person, identified as Anura Bandara, had been employed in the ship and had recently requested the government to bring him back to the country. Upon the approval of the President and the advice of the Navy commander, the Navy had taken steps to bring the person safely to shore. Officers attached to the Navy's Chemical, Biological, Radiological and Nuclear Emergency Response Unit has disinfected the man around 4.4 nautical miles away from Sri Lanka's shores.
On the 13th of March, the Navy had conducted a mock operation with the assistance of relevant authorities, including the Sri Lanka Port Authority and the Suez Area Ambulance Service, on dealing with this situation.
The cruise ship had begun its journey on the 5th of January. Following the spread of the coronavirus and with travel restrictions being imposed, other countries had refused to accept their citizens who had been on the vessel. The ship had arrived at the Colombo port for refueling.
I wish to thank the authorities for bringing me to the country with the latest technology which meets international standards. If not for this mechanism, I would not have been able to return home. We stayed for a few days in the Australian seas. Talks with the Australian government proved futile. Therefore, we continued our journey hoping to obtain help from France or Italy. The Sri Lankan government then came forward to provide us the required supplies. That was to thank the ship in which I was employed. The ship has 15 days left to complete its journey. Due to the current situation, the cruise ship has to travel at a stretch without docking in any country.
Meanwhile, the Navy also took steps to rescue a female German national aged 75 who was suffering from heart issues. This was in keeping with the advice of the Presidential Task Force to prevent COVID-19. The German national who was admitted to the Colombo General Hospital is to be sent to the quarantine center in Busa.
According to the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, it is the duty of the Sri Lanka Navy to rescue the persons in distress within the country's maritime boundary. We could not reject the request made to us concerning the woman's safety. Steps were undertaken to transport the woman to the Colombo General Hospital in a proper manner.
The MSC Magnifica ship, which was denied entry in other countries, is now heading towards Italy, in which its shipping operator is located.
The number of COVID-19 patients in the country now stands at 178. Ministry of Health said that 137 patients are under medical supervision. 34 patients have fully recovered thus far, and Director General of Health Services Dr. Anil Jasingh has said the PCR tests carried out to detect patients in the country will increase. The Director General made these remarks during a media briefing today.
COVID-19 සම්බන්ධයෙන් රසායනාගාර පරීක්ෂණ වැඩියෙන් කිරීමේ කෙරෙහි
Attention has been drawn towards conducting more tests to identify COVID-19 patients. Nowadays, we are conducting tests that are threefold of the tests which had been carried out within a week. We hope to keep increasing the number of tests. We have prepared a work plan for this. We are conducting PCR tests and taking steps to validate rapid tests to the test kits we are receiving. If we receive a rapid test kit which can be used to carry out tests effectively, we hope to introduce this test as well. We engaged in a video conference with Professor Malik Piris for an hour. During that discussion, we discussed extensively regarding lab testing. He provided us the relevant advice regarding that. At the same time, he also expressed his satisfaction towards the activities that we are carrying out at present.
සාකච්ඡා කරනු ලැබුවා. ඔහු විසින් අපට ඒ අවශ්‍ය උපදෙස් ලබා දුන්න ඒ වගේම ඔහු අප විසින් කරගෙන යනු ලබන ක්‍රියා පිළිබඳව අත වශයෙන්ම සෑහීමකට පත් වෙලා ඒ පිළිබඳව ඔහු කරුණු දැක්වුවා.
Sri Lanka Medical Association, Ceylon College of Physicians and Sri Lanka College of Microbiologists have requested the government to increase RT-PCR testing capacity to 1,500 tests per day.
The current strategy of COVID-19 prevention is very unique to Sri Lanka, where the close contacts of patients are detected very early and quarantined, therefore suppressing the spread of the disease. And the success of this unique policy is evident by the fact that the COVID-19 transmission in Sri Lanka is still at stage 3. Early detection and contact tracing is crucial in suppressing an epidemic. And in Sri Lanka, the test that is recommended by WHO to diagnose this disease is called RT-PCR, which can detect the virus RNA gene sequence at a very early stage and at almost 100% accuracy. However, detection of antibodies to diagnose COVID-19 also have been suggested. And the reasons for justification are cited as it's easy to test and shorter time of using and can be used in point of care and relatively lesser cost. However, the problem is it may take 1 or 2 weeks for the body to develop antibodies for the infection. Therefore, the patients at early stages of the disease will be missed. And these patients who are tested negative can be very infectious. This can be a very dangerous situation. Similarly, these antibodies can react with antibodies of similar diseases, and that can give false positive results. These false positive and false negative results can put epidemiological planning of control into a total disarray. However, these rapid antibody testing may have a role in doing surveillance after epidemic is over or detecting unrecognized previous infection or immunity. However, the current need of the country as far as the suppression of the disease is concerned, the most appropriate test is the RT-PCR test, which I have mentioned previously. Therefore, what we recommend is using the current RT-PCR testing, which directly detect the genetic sequence, and increasing the capacity of testing to about 1,500 per day and to cover the first level of contacts. This will address the current uncertainty regarding the number of asymptomatic patients. And we suggest that any shift of the current policy of testing for COVID-19 should be considered within broader framework of current successful public health process and the strategy, and not as a single technical point.
Meanwhile, the PCR testing machine, which was imported from India to conduct tests for dengue and influenza before the outbreak of the coronavirus, is now at the Kegol hospital.
COVID-19 වෛරසය ආසාදනය වෙලා තියෙනවද කියලා රෝගියෙකුගේ දැන ගැනීම සඳහා දැනට තියෙන සාර්ථකම පරීක්ෂණ ක්‍රමය වෙන්නේ
The successful method at present to test whether a patient has been affected by COVID-19 is the PCR test. However, the problem with this test is that it will take between 4 to 6 hours to see the results. Therefore, we have installed a machine which is capable of doing the PCR test in a convenient manner at the Kegol hospital. We got this 8 months ago through the Ministry of Health before the coronavirus had originated. The main advantage of this is that the results can be obtained within 1.5 hours. This machine was manufactured by an Indian company. A week ago, this company was able to manufacture a chip that could be used to conduct PCR tests through this machine. However, the Indian government has suspended sending any products relating to the coronavirus out of the country. If we can discuss with the Indian government and get this machine, then we will be able to do these tests quickly. The Indian government has confirmed that this is an effective test and that this machine produces results which match the results of the PCR tests.
ඉන්දියානු රජය තහවුරු කරගෙන තියෙනවා මේ බොහොම සාර්ථක ක්‍රමවේදයක් සාමාන්‍ය අපි පාවිච්චි කරන PCR ක්‍රමවේදයටම 100%ක්ම සමපාත වෙන විදිහේ ප්‍රතිඵල තමයි මේකෙන් ලැබෙන්නේ කියලා. දැනට මේක තියෙන්නේ කෑගලු මහ රෝහලේ පමණයි. රජයෙන් සහ බලධාරීන්ගෙන් ඉල්ලා සිටිනවා.
This machine is there only at the Kegol General Hospital. We request to implement this rapid test as a pilot project in Kegol. This will assist us to identify the people who have the virus in their body. We have to identify them in order to curb the spread of the virus. We request the government to draw its attention towards this requirement.
A vaccine that was developed 100 years ago to fight the tuberculosis in Europe is now being tested against the COVID-19 by scientists. Researchers are also testing the vaccine to see if it can give a boost to the immune system.
Clinical trials of the Bacillus-Calmette-Guerin or the BCG vaccine, which was first developed in the early 1920s, are planned in Europe and Australia to see if it can help reduce the prevalence and severity of COVID-19 symptoms. The researchers at the Murdoch Children's Research Institute in Melbourne said, quote, although originally developed against tuberculosis and still given to over 130 million babies annually for that purpose, BCG also boosts humans' frontline immunity, training it to respond to germs with greater intensity, unquote. Meanwhile, preliminary studies point out that countries with mandatory policies to vaccinate against tuberculosis register fewer coronavirus deaths than countries that don't have those policies in place.
The College of Otorino-Laryngologists and Head and Neck Surgeons of Sri Lanka, in a special message to the general public, has emphasized the importance of avoiding certain accidents related to ear, nose and throat during the prevailing situation in the country.
The association added that most of the ears, nose and throat procedures, also known as ENT procedures, have been avoided or postponed as there is a high risk of the virus being transmitted from one to another during the procedure. The Medical Association added, in the event of an emergency, ENT procedures will be conducted using full protective gear, which are currently in short supply in many parts of the world, including Sri Lanka. However, the general public can contact hospitals and ENT doctors to clarify any inquiry in this regard. The association also emphasizes the importance of avoiding home accidents related to the ear, nose or throat.
The Sri Lanka National Institute of Professional Counsellors has launched a free-of-charge counselling service for those who are distressed by the COVID-19 in the country. Issuing a media release, the SLNIPC noted that given the current situation in the country due to the pandemic, it is normal for certain individuals to experience anxiety and other mental conditions. It added such complications could either be due to long-term issues in one's household or even due to the COVID-19 situation, and as such, the institution emphasizes significance in obtaining professional help from a confidential trained counselor or a psychiatrist. Thereby, it has provided 2 hotlines for anyone experiencing such difficulties to call and obtain free counseling. The numbers are 071 869 9225, 077 368 0930. Let me repeat it to you, 071 8699 225, 077 368 0930. A number of incidents where patients who have contracted the COVID-19 hid details from the authorities, putting military personnel and medical staff at risk, has been reported.
14 staff members of the Apeksha Hospital in Maharagama, including doctors, nurses and other medical staff, have been directed to the Vaikala Quarantine Centre. Hospital Director Vasanta Disanayaka said they had taken these measures after it was revealed that a patient who came to the hospital for treatment had contracted COVID-19.
We had to send 14 people for quarantine to the Vaikal Quarantine Centre. Among them were 4 doctors, 6 nurses and 4 ordinary employees.
Meanwhile, 19 police officers attached to the Pamunugama police station in Jayala have been sent for quarantine. The police stated that the decision had been taken after a suspect that had been arrested in Pamunugama had contracted COVID-19. The suspect had displayed symptoms following his arrest and had been admitted to the Ragama hospital. Subsequently, it was confirmed that he was infected with COVID-19. A senior police officer said a group of police officers were also directed to undergo quarantine. The Pamunugama police station has been disinfected. This is the bridge over the Mahavali River that separates the Kandy district from the Badula district. There are no essential commodities like coconut oil and spices. I brought my license as well. I will come back quickly. The police intervened to contain the situation and turned away those who attempted to enter Mahiyangana.
Was only the 5th televised address of a 68-year regime, Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II delivered a special statement to her citizens last night.
A time of disruption in the life of our country, a disruption that has brought grief to some, financial difficulties to many, and enormous changes to the daily lives of us all. I want to thank everyone on the NHS frontline, as well as care workers and those carrying out essential roles, who selflessly continue their day-to-day duties outside the home in support of us all. I'm sure the nation will join me in assuring you that what you do is appreciated, and every hour of your hard work brings us closer to a return to more normal times. I also want to thank those of you who are staying at home, thereby helping to protect the vulnerable and sparing many families the pain already felt by those who have lost loved ones. Together we are tackling this disease, and I want to reassure you that if we remain united and resolute, then we will overcome it. Today, once again, many will feel a painful sense of separation from their loved ones. But now as then, we know deep down that it is the right thing to do. While we have faced challenges before, this one is different. This time we join with all nations across the globe in a common endeavor, using the great advances of science and our instinctive compassion to heal. We will succeed, and that success will belong to every one of us. We should take comfort that while we may have more still to endure, better days will return. We will be with our friends again. We will be with our families again. We will meet again.
The Indian cabinet has decided to slash salaries of country's central ministers and members of parliament, starting with Indian President and the Prime Minister by 30% for the coming year in wave of the COVID-19 outbreak in the country.
Making the announcement this evening, Union Minister Prakash Javadekar said President Ramnath Kovind, Vice President and all state governors have voluntarily decided to take a 30% salary cut. The minister added the money will go to the country's consolidated fund. He said the money will go to the country's consolidated fund after the cabinet approved the ordinance amending the salary, allowances and pension of members of Parliament Act 1954. The salary cut comes into effect from April.
Damages have been observed in the water pipelines in Colombo.
The ruptured pipeline is located at a by-road leading to the Colombo port. Residents stated that officials have failed to pay attention towards this matter, although the leak was reported almost a month ago. Meanwhile, another leakage was reported at a pipeline near some line houses in the Stacepur area in Grand Pass. Residents in the area have been severely inconvenienced as a result of this situation. They claim that the water had begun leaking a week ago.
At present, many villages and entire cities are placed on lockdown or isolated when a coronavirus patient is discovered from the area. But the Ranaviru village in Hasalaka has been isolated for a long period of time.
This village, which falls under the purview of the Minipe Pradesha Sabha, is home to 12 families. Around 40 fully constructed homes built in the village have not been allocated to people living here.
We request the authorities to hand over the abandoned houses to the homeless. My 2 children and I reside nearby. We do not have a proper place to live. I would like to request the authorities to provide me with an abandoned house from this village. Why can't they give us one of those houses?
Residents say that officials pay their needs scant regard. The COVID-19 situation has served only to worsen their plight. None of the relief provided and promised has reached this village as of yet. The only source of food was jackfruit. However, this too has run out.
This village is isolated from the outer world. Although there are 51 houses, no one resides in most of them. Please save us from our plight.
Our request is for these houses to be handed over to those who do not have shelter.
Today, these villagers are reduced to eating dried papaya seeds.
Farmers have been affected due to the lack of fertilizer to cultivate crops.
Cultivation in Rajarata has commenced. I am currently on a plot of land which has been tilled to commence cultivation. However, farmers say that they are unable to obtain the required fertilizer to cultivate their crops. This is the Labunorua village in the Tirappane area in Anuradhapura. More than 300 farming families residing in this village have been severely affected as they do not have sufficient fertilizer to commence cultivation. They are not in a position to obtain fertilizer to even prepare the land for cultivation.
Although they can impose a curfew and ask the people to limit the movement of people, they cannot do the same to these crops. The items required by these crops to grow should be given at the correct time.
Agricultural activities on approximately 400 acres of land have been affected due to the lack of fertilizer. We cannot take our crops to Dambulla due to the curfew. Even if we sow, we cannot sell them at a reasonable rate. The people in Mahavilachya also echo similar sentiments. Although water has been released from the Mahavilachya reservoir to commence agricultural activities, the lands of farmers have been destroyed due to the lack of fertilizer, urea and seeds. Around 500 farmers in the Mana, Pemadua, Bogas Junction and Yaya 6 and 7 areas have been affected due to this situation. We are supplying vegetables to the country after cultivating them with much difficulty. What we request is to grant seeds and fertilizer to the farmers in Mahavilachya.
The Presidential Task Force on Essential Services convened a media briefing at the Department of Government Information today.
Export industries including tea, rubber and coconut have been granted permission to continue operations without any disruptions. Arrangements would be made to support industries which had remained inactive in the recent past. The government has granted permission for these industries to continue operations on the conditions that their companies and employees abide by the instructions of health and security units. For the first time in 137 years, the Ceylon Tea Traders Association conducted its tea auction online. The fear surrounding the uncertainty of small tea estate owners and estate growers not being able to fetch a reasonable price for their crops has been dispelled. Now Sri Lanka is capable of conducting its tea auctions online. There is a demand for rubber and rubber-related products such as latex gloves in the world market given the current situation. Therefore, we believe that these industries should be supported in Sri Lanka. We will never encourage any industry to function without adhering to the directives of health authorities. We have instructed such industries to function with the approval of divisional health officers and under the guidance of security agencies. We can intervene if industries which can operate are obstructed from doing so as a result of misunderstandings. We have launched several hotlines to inform us regarding such incidents. One hotline is 071 4415160. We can be contacted via WhatsApp and Viber on 0711 692 692.
Former parliamentarian Haroon Rajakaruna made a revelation today.
මේ සතොස මගේ මේ අතේ තියෙනවා මේ ෆොටෝ එක මේ සතොසේ අපේ අහිංසක
We have learned that chili and curry powder packets provided by Satosa carries the symbol of the flower bud. In my view, this is cheap politics. These dry rations are provided to the general public through taxpayers' money. Tax money that belongs to the general public and not funds belonging to the flower bud. We urge the government to withhold politics when the country is facing such a crisis. The government should provide 5,000 rupees to the destitute every week and act in an unbiased manner.
අහිංසක දුප්පත් ජනතාවට සාධාරණ පිටු වෙන හැටි රුපියල් 5000ක් ලබා දෙන්න සතියකට ඒ රුපියල් 5000 ලබා දෙන්න හැම සතියකටම රුපියල් 5000ක් ලබා දෙන්න.
The Elections Commission said that over the last few days, the relief mechanism surrounding the coronavirus pandemic has been politicized. Minister Vimal Weerawansa expressed his views about this in Homagama.
නම් පේන්නේ මැතිවරණ කොමිසම මේක ඇතුලේ දේශපාලනයක් කරනවා. කොමිසමේ සභාපතිතුමා හිටපු ගමන් නිින්දෙන් ඇහැරුණා වගේ මේ දේශපාලඥයෝ මේකට ගාව.
I feel the National Elections Commission is carrying out politics within this. All of a sudden, the chairman is saying that politicians should not get involved. We are not doing politics and have no interest in using corona patients to do this. We must shun party affiliations to give social leadership. The officials cannot do this alone. If they are looking at this politically, medicine should be given to the National Elections Commission. What we are doing is fulfilling a social obligation. We understand the politics at the underbelly of the National Elections Commission. We are not children. We know how the chairman of the commission acted during the tenure of the previous government and again now. We ask the commission and the clan, please stop carrying out politics.
මේ සභාපතිතුමාලා කලින් ආණ්ඩුව තිබිච්ච ඉන්නකොට හැසිරිච්ච විදියයි ඒ ආණ්ඩුව වෙනස් වෙනකොට හැසිරෙන විදිය. ඒ නිසා අපි කරුණා කරලා කොමිසමේ සභාපති ඇතුළු ඒ ඉන්න නඩේටම කියනවා ඕගොල්ලෝ කරන දේශපාලනේ නවත්තන්න.
Signs of the COVID-19 not slowing down is not in sight, as countries that seem to have a grip on the outbreak will seem employing more measures as their grip loosens over the outbreak. As of 6 p.m. today, the total number of COVID-19 patients stood at 1,287,000 globally, while more than 70,530 people have died. 271,887 people worldwide have recovered. The countries with the highest number of COVID-19 patients reported, and the highest number of patients are reported from the United States. 336,906 patients have been detected, and 9,624 out of 327.2 million people have died. In Spain, 13,055 people have died. Spain has a population of 46.75 million. In Italy, however, out of the 60.5 million people in the country, 128,948 cases have been detected, with 15,887 deaths. The new infections and deaths have fallen in Spain and Italy in the recent days. Then comes Germany with a total number of cases at 100,186. 1,590 out of 83.8 million people have died. Other countries with highest number of COVID-19 cases are France, China, Iran, UK, Turkey and Switzerland.
Johnson is to continue to lead the government after the British leader spent the night in hospital for tests because he was still suffering symptoms of the coronavirus. Housing Minister Robert Jenrick said, quote, "Obviously today he is in hospital having the test, but he'll continue to be kept informed as to what's happening and to be in charge of the government," unquote, saying that Johnson is doing well. Japan is to declare a state of emergency in Tokyo and 6 other prefectures as early as tomorrow in a bid to stop the coronavirus, with the government preparing a stimulus package to soften the economic blow. More than 3,500 people have tested positive for the coronavirus in Japan and 85 have died out of a population of 126.5 million. A 4-year-old female tiger at the Bronx Zoo has tested positive for the coronavirus. The tiger, named Nadia, is believed to be the first known case of an animal infected with COVID-19 in the United States. Singapore has told 20,000 foreign workers to stay in their dormitories for 14 days as coronavirus cases increase in the city-state. 2 dormitories have been isolated, one with 13,000 workers and 63 cases, and one with 6,800 workers and 28 cases. Indonesia has confirmed 218 new COVID-19 cases, the biggest daily jump since the first cases were announced a month ago, taking the total number of infections to 2,491. An official said that 11 deaths had been recorded, taking the total to 209, while 192 people had recovered with a population of 273.5 million. Russia's coronavirus case tally has risen to 6,343 over the past 24 hours, a record daily increase of 954. A South African bride and a groom have been arrested for conducting a wedding during lockdown. All 40 wedding guests, the pastor who conducted the ceremony and the newlyweds themselves were promptly arrested and taken to a police station outside Richards Bay. The French Economy and Finance Minister Bruno Le Maire has warned that the country is facing its worst post-war economic downturn since the end of World War II, surpassing the minus 2.2% slump that followed the 2009 global financial crisis. India is reportedly considering a request by Donald Trump to release stocks of a drug that the US president has called a game changer in the fight against COVID-19. Reports in Indian media, citing government officials, say the country is now considering supplying the drug to the United States.
United Nations Secretary-General Antonia Gutierrez has appealed for peace in homes around the world during these challenging times.
We have seen a horrifying global surge in domestic violence. In some countries, the number of women calling support services has doubled. Meanwhile, healthcare providers and police are overwhelmed and understaffed. Local support groups are paralyzed or short of funds. Some domestic violence shelters are closed, others are full. I urge all governments to make the prevention and redress of violence against women a key part of their national response plans for COVID-19. That means increasing investment in online services and civil society organizations, making sure judicial systems continue to prosecute abusers, setting up emergency warning systems in pharmacies and groceries, declaring shelters as essential services, and creating safe ways for women to seek support without alerting their abusers.
Sri Lanka has tightened foreign exchange controls for 3 months to limit outflows as the rupee depreciated sharply. Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa, issuing a gazette notification, has suspended people residing in Sri Lanka making payments through outward investment accounts and suspend any outward remittances other than the remittances on the current transactions through business foreign currency accounts or personal foreign currency accounts held by persons in Sri Lanka.
that certain medications can completely cure patients infected with COVID-19. However, the World Health Organization does not recommend any medicines to treat or cure COVID-19. But symptoms can be successfully treated, and the World Health Organization is currently reviewing potential treatments. Another rumor making the rounds is that drinking warm water can help in curing or preventing infection from COVID-19. While drinking water has other health benefits, the World Health Organization says drinking hot, warm water doesn't prevent a COVID-19 infection, and nor does it cure an infection. Catching the new coronavirus does not mean you have it for life. Most of the people who catch COVID-19 can recover and eliminate the virus from their bodies. If you catch the disease, make sure you treat your symptoms. If you have a cough, fever and a difficulty in breathing, seek medical care early, but call your health facility by telephone first. Most patients recover thanks to the supportive healthcare system.
"203 people who were quarantined at the Sri Lanka Air Force quarantine facility in Bulletin were released today.
The Sri Lanka Air Force said that they had arrived from India on the 22nd of March and had completed the quarantine period. Among the people who had left for their homes were 56 males and 147 females. There is no other army in the world which renders this amount of service. Like the period during the war, the Tri-Forces and the police are extending a priceless service to protect the people from being affected by this disease. To support this exercise, which is being carried out by the security forces and the leaders of this country, I request the people of this country to willingly undergo quarantine. Irrespective of how many laws are being imposed, the support has to come from our own heart. Before leaving for their homes, the people handed over artworks and pieces of poetry to commend the service rendered by the army.
දාහතරේ නිරෝධායන කටයුතු නිමාවීමෙන් අනතුරුව අද දිනෙත් 217 දෙනෙකු මෙසේ නිරෝධායන කටයුතු නිමාවීමෙන් අනතුරුව
217 people who completed the mandatory quarantine procedure were allowed to leave for their homes today. This includes 3 people from the Kundasale Quarantine Centre managed by the Army, 11 people from the Booster Quarantine Centre managed by the Navy, and 203 people from the Mulathivu Quarantine Centre managed by the Air Force. We have instructed them to undergo self-quarantine for another 14 days as it is extremely vital. Out of the 40 quarantine centres in the country, 1,287 people are currently undergoing quarantine across the 40 quarantine centres established in the country. Another group of people among them are expected to leave for their homes tomorrow upon completing the quarantine procedure.
මොවුන් අතරින් කණ්ඩායමක් හෙට දිනෙත් මේ ආකාරයේ දින 14ක නිරෝධායන කටයුතු නිමාවීම හේතුවෙන් හෙට දිනේ පිටත්ව යාම නියමිතව තිබෙනවා.
The Tri-Forces and the police are currently taking steps to entertain the public residing in housing schemes in Colombo. We leave it tonight with the visuals of some musical performances carried out by our security personnel. Thank you very much for joining us for the Newsfirst Mazratan, and with me is Brian D. Cruz, our sign language interpreter. Take very good care of yourself and good night.